The reason we patients don't want to go to get checked out is because what we are afraid of is not cancer. We are much more afraid of the treatment because our good life gets shortened as soon as we are diagnosed. And now, after all these years, we know that Dr. Czerniecki prolongs our good life. The patients that have gone through his treatment, they have a better life than before they met him. And normally, when you meet a cancer doctor, you know your good life is over.
When I initially got diagnosed, I just had a lot of confusion, a lot of ups and downs. Google really stressed me out. Anything you research about triple negative is really scary.
I always say the cliche, with chemotherapy, I lost my lunch, and with immunotherapy, I went out to lunch.
People don't realize how cancer has taken a turn to where it's not just archaic chemotherapy anymore. There's other options. You can actually live your life.
The cure within is much more important and true now than it was 16 years ago. 16 years ago, it was a dream. Today, it's a reality.
Dr. Czerniecki has been working on these dendritic cell therapies for 16 years, and I am the very first in a new trial for a different type of cancer that they have not treated before.
16 years ago, we were strictly looking at whether we could generate an immune response against a certain form of early breast cancer called ductal carcinoma in situ in patients with early precancerous breast lesions. Quite a bit has changed in the past 16 years.
Over the past few years, we have learned how to deal with later stage cancers. And Dr. Czerniecki has made some very startling progress looking at locally advanced stage 2 and stage 3 HER2 breast cancer.
Over a 4-week period, they gave me 1 shot of HER2 on Tuesdays and a shot of HER3 on Fridays. So they're spaced out to over 4 weeks total, so I got 8 vaccine shots. I also started chemo halfway through. You get 2 weeks of just the vaccine, and then the last 2 weeks are the vaccine and the chemo at the same time. By the 3rd or 4th week, the surgeons who were doing my injections said they were having a hard time finding the mass anymore. The tumor shrank, and then before you knew it, I had like a divot where it had shrunk so quickly, and it fills back in with fat super fast, so it's not a concern, but it was amazing how fast it shrunk.
A good percentage of the people that have participated in this have not recurred. It's been quite successful. And when you look at other therapies, this is incredible.
15 years ago, there was no approved immunotherapies. Now there are approved immunotherapies. They all happen to be mostly antibodies that take the brakes off all the immune system in the body. The interesting thing about this is we're not releasing everything. We're just targeting what's on the cancer. So it has a lot less side effects than some of the immunotherapies that are currently being used.
In the big scheme of things, our grand goal is to eliminate the need for chemotherapy.
I believe that this technology can become the new standard.
I think 20 years from now, people are going to be laughing at this archaic chemo, similar to how we would laugh that they used to use leeches and bleed people to death to cure them.
The results we're seeing now literally exceed my wildest dreams. I don't like to, as a scientist, make those sorts of extravagant statements about the work, but we're really seeing some exciting progress. And all that's come about with a lot of support from Pennies in Action.
The most gratifying aspect is seeing a patient who doesn't need chemo and their tumor's now cured from something that they probably would have died of a few years ago. But along with that is really the cooperation that happens between the Cancer Center, Pennies in Action, the funding agencies to kind of work together to make this happen quicker.
With the help from Pennies in Action, we have been able to increase our productivity astronomically.
Without Pennies in Action, and this is no exaggeration, we would not be half as far as we are now. And as a matter of fact, we may not even be here in terms of active researchers. It's been that vital.
What we could do for the 16 years is to keep Dr. Czerniecki going and keep him moving. And now he has the kind of knowledge and stats that people go, oh my God.
It's been very exciting. I don't think I've ever worked in a lab like this in all my career.
This is the only fundraising organization I have ever heard of that started from the patients of one physician. I can imagine no greater testimonial to the quality of the care that a physician gave than to have his own patients volunteer their time in order to raise money to bring forward this research.
I am the CEO of Patients in Action, and I'd like to see more patients in action. There's more people out there that have received this, and I know life is busy. We may not need you to do much, but we love to hear from you.
Any drug we take has been years and years in the making, and it is a long and expensive process and takes a lot of people's hard work to make that happen.
We need the patients to come forward who understand and have experienced the miracle that Dr. Czerniecki performs and help us, because we need to push. We need to push that forward.
Every penny counts. If you want to feel confident that you're donating to the one, I think Pennies in Action is the one.
And if it wasn't for Pennies in Action and their tireless efforts, I wouldn't be here today.
Anybody who believes in the process should definitely donate, because giving to Pennies in Action, you know that the money's going to go to Dr. Czerniecki, nobody else.
We always hear about getting more bang for your buck, and with Pennies in Action, for more pennies you get more power.
What would make Sweet 16, the 16 years we've been at this, even sweeter, is to get this across the finish line. Let's go.